Hey, guys, thank you so much for joining this morning. Congratulations, Parasite Eve and Posthuman Survival Horror coming out here in about a week. We're here with Jordan Fish and Matt Nicholls from Bring Me the Horizon. Man, you guys have, the pandemic stopped a lot of bands, but not you guys. What's going on?
We just keep ourselves occupied.
Yeah, got to do something.
Yeah, no doubt. I was following you guys when the world started to shut down and found a lot of the videos pretty interesting. The fact that you were kind of channeling this anger at having, been quarantined in your house into making music, and the result with Parasite Eve, pretty extraordinary, man. The song is doing really, really well at radio, and it wasn't initially really intended as a pandemic song, or was it?
I think so. Some of the lyrics Ollie had are kind of like from last summer, so we were writing it, and he was putting together some of those lyrics that from before, like as the pandemic was starting. So they were kind of running alongside each other, and we hadn't really put the two and two together, to be honest with you. And then at some point it was like, okay, maybe this song feels a bit relevant to what's going on now. And then I think we started to kind of merge the ideas, and it was like, well, this kind of feels like maybe this song could be about a bit more about what's going on now. But it was kind of just a bit of a coincidence, really, to be fair. And then in the end, it felt like, there was a moment where we thought maybe it's a bit too, well, maybe it's not appropriate even to do a song that feels so connected to something that's, been so devastating for so many people. But
yeah.
I guess then we thought, fuck it, and just did it anyway. So.
If we're going to go there, might as well release a video that you don't want to watch when you're under the influence of any types of substances, man. That video creeps me the hell out. Scary as hell. Hey, and congratulations. New song just came out yesterday called Teardrops. Now, the new album is just an EP. It's a little longer than a lot of EPs. You see a lot of EPs, there's 4, maybe 5 songs on there. Do you guys in Bring Me the Horizon feel that this is the way all your music will be released in the future? Fewer songs, less time in between releases, or where's your head at there?
Yeah, I think so. I think we just didn't want to jump back into the whole writing out, taking like 6 months to write an album and then taking like 2 months to record it and then waiting 3 months for it to come out. You know what I mean? I think that we just got into a conversation about the way people consume music nowadays and how it's kind of not like that. It's like you'd write like 12 tracks for an album, and then like 5 or 6 of them tracks won't even see the light of day. You know what I mean? So it was almost like you were wasting your time trying to fill a quota to fill an album. You know what I mean? So I guess we thought if we just focused all our attention on writing like 4, 5, 6 actual good songs and putting all our energy into that, you know what I mean? And then actual songs what we play live or songs what we would release. So I think that was kind of like the main thinking behind the EP situation, you know what I mean? Like just so we could focus all our efforts onto making the best 5 or 6 songs we could, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
Instead of wasting our time writing 12 songs and taking 6 months to do it, and I think that was just the main thinking behind it, and it came out right.
I'm curious, what do you guys feel about the label metalcore to describe your sound? When I hear Bring Me the Horizon, I almost go like, you explore and experiment with so many different kind of genres and subgenres of sound. You're almost your own genre. Does the metalcore label or any label at all kind of get under your skin?
It doesn't matter, does it? But I wouldn't say that we're really a metalcore band. To be honest with you, even like Sempiternal, which a lot of people consider to be like a staple metalcore album, I don't think it's mostly metalcore. I wouldn't say it was a metalcore album on the whole anyway. To me, it sounds like a kind of like rock electronic album on the whole, if you were going to try and put a label on it. But anyway, we don't really care. We don't really care about that kind of stuff. I guess we're a rock band.
Just labels end of the day. If anyone asks me what kind of band are you, I just say it's a rock band.
Okay. And never any concerns about maybe alienating or freaking out some of your core, some of your base by pushing the boundaries too far on a particular song or sound?
Yeah.
Not really.
That's dynamite. You know, there seems to be kind of an underground scene of bands that sound interestingly like Bring Me the Horizon, with a mix of synth and the very heavy overtones. To some extent, you know, Linkin Park was doing something similar when they started. Were they an influence at all to what you guys do in Bring Me the Horizon?
What was the name, sorry?
Linkin Park?
Never heard of them. Are they new?
All right, well, one more cup of coffee, I guess. You guys obviously have influenced a lot of bands, you know, Asking Alexandria, Don Bracco, amongst many others. Do you consider someone like Don Bracco and what they do as a compliment or a ripoff? Or
I hate him.
Yeah, we hate Don Bracco big time.
No, we don't. Them guys are cool as fuck.
We should go back to the Linkin Park question because I was just joking. But yeah, they are probably our biggest influence, to be fair. And it's like one of those things where we met those guys, and obviously Ollie sang at the memorial show with Linkin Park. So, you know, we don't pretend to not be influenced by them. And to be fair, like there's other bands from that era that we still like heavily influenced by. Like we still reference like Slipknot, Limp Bizkit, Deftones, all that new Papa Roach, that whole era of bands is like a lot of the shit that we grew up on. So I don't see it as a negative thing to be compared to bands like that, because they're like bands that we still love, really, to be honest with you. And Linkin Park,
the bands that are still around as well, you know what I mean? They're still doing stuff. There were a lot of bands that came out in that era and they were just absolute shit, you know what I mean? Whereas I think bands like what Jordan just said, Slipknot, Deftones, Linkin Park, and they're still around, and I think that's testament to how good they were, you know, how influential they were when we were kids. And I think if it weren't for bands like that, I wouldn't even like music, you know what I mean? I think they were the first bands where I was going out and buying their CDs and stuff like that, and going to gigs, and yeah, the bands like that heavily and still do influence what I listen to now, you know what I mean?
Absolutely. Jordan, tell me a little bit about your first band, Worship. And do you, as you're writing a new song, do you ever come across something and go, you know, this is cool. I don't know if it's really for Bring Me the Horizon. Maybe I want to, you know, do something solo or on the side, having come from a band like Worship.
Not really. To be honest with you, like I don't think about that band much anymore, because like since I joined Bring Me, it's just been like all of my efforts have been in this band, and this is kind of like all I have thought about since. So, and the good thing about Bring Me is like I don't really feel like there's any limits to what we can do. So if we like something and we want to do it, then we would do it regardless of, you know, if it sounded like normal Bring Me, or the kind of scope of what we can do within this band is as like wide as we want it to be. So yeah, no, it's not something I've ever thought about really, and I much prefer writing in this band and being in this band than I always have. To be fair, just the creativity and the relationship I have with the band, and especially like with Ollie, working with someone who's that creative and that kind of mind is just like perfect. It's perfect for me because it contrasts with what I can do. I don't have that kind of brain. I wouldn't say I have like a well of like creativity in terms of like vision and ideas and concepts, but I do have a lot of like music in me. So
you got the talent.
I've got music. I can do music. Yeah. You know, Ollie is arguably one of the greatest frontmen, I think, in rock music today. With some of the way that he can energize and get a crowd really, really riled up, has he ever done anything that you guys, you know, kind of sitting in the background have gone, oh man, you're pushing it a little too far here? Or do you just sit back in amazement and go, wow, that's his talent?
He's always been like that. He's just always had, for some reason, been able to command people, and people just like latch onto it. Do you know what I mean? Just hang off everything he says and everything he does. He's always been like that. And
yeah.
I don't know how he does it or anything like that, but I don't think he's. I mean, he's definitely done things where you just think, oh, should have said that, should have done that. But at the end of the day, he always comes out good from situations like that. Do you know what I mean?
Normally on a tour, if we're on like a longer tour, if he does something that you think is funny, and you tell him, and he notices that you think it's funny, then the next day it will be something like it'll be a change, or it'll add something onto it, or it'll be a different variation. It becomes more and more extreme.
I have to share a quick story. I was at the Los Rages show in Las Vegas back a year and a half or so ago, and I'm there with my wife, who she just celebrated her 50th birthday a couple of days ago, and some other friends of ours who are a little bit older for the rock crowd, and we're pretty close to the stage. And about 3 songs in, Ollie just starts berating the crowd, saying it's the worst crowd he has ever seen on the entire tour. And I looked to the girls, and I looked to my buddy, and I said, we need to get out of the pit now. And they're like, why, man? Why? And I said, because the crowd is going to go nuclear. And right as I said that, all hell broke loose. The 2 girls went down. We had to try and find them to dig them out of the rubble, but it was just one of those really surreal moments. You know, the whole pandemic has got, people, it's thrown the world for a loop. We're all dying to see live music again. And a lot of folks struggling with depression, alcohol, drug abuse. How important is sobriety for the band as a whole? And what do you guys do to kind of power through some of the isolation and the loneliness that has happened because of the whole pandemic?
I think having a routine's been good. I think just, you know what I mean? Because you could go one way, you could go the other. Like, I remember speaking to Ollie at the start of the pandemic. We were saying you're either going to come out of the pandemic better or worse. And I think for me personally, I mean, it's just been having a routine, a set routine, and having things what I can like fully focus on. You know what I mean? Instead of, because if you just sat around bored all the time, then that's going to be like one of the main times when you're going to think, fuck it, I'll just get drunk, or like, you know what I mean? I'll get some booze in, and you know what I mean. So for me, it's like I've just focused on having a routine and trying to and work out a lot and stuff like that. I mean, I injured myself by working out that hard.
Oh no.
So yeah, but I think that for me is just like focusing, having a little bit of discipline. You know what I mean? It's hard for us. We're not at home for this period of time ever.
Yeah.
This is like the longest we've been home probably since the band started. So it's weird to be at home this long. But like you say, just focus on not being an absolute animal and having a bit of discipline and routine, and that for me has been good. Yeah.
And Jordan, do you find yourself writing more or less during this this downtime? Has there come a point where you're just like, man, I got writer's block and I just can't do any more?
I don't really believe in writer's block, to be fair, anyway. So you just have to turn on for the time, and then when you've done your time, turn off. If you get nothing, you get nothing. But I've never really had writer's block in the sense. Obviously, you have ups and downs and moments where you are getting good stuff and where you're not. But I think the whole block thing is just people not wanting to dig in, and if it gets a bit tough, you can either grind it out, or you can go, oh, fuck it, I'm going to walk away. And my style is to sit there and grind it out until I get something, and I'll just dig harder and harder. Okay. So yeah, this is the most I've ever written in my life, without doubt. I haven't stopped since the pandemic started. We've been doing 8 to 10 hours a day, 5-6 days a week writing. So, I mean, this is definitely the most I've ever written for this record, the hardest I've ever worked. And we wrote a good chunk. We wrote a bunch of stuff that I was excited about that's going to go on to the next EP as well. So we've got seeds of ideas for the next kind of couple of records too.
That's awesome. Well, I'm excited about that. I've got one last question for you guys, and then I know you guys have got other media to do. A wise person once told me to always have a mentor. Do you think that's good advice? And if so, Jordan and Matt, who's your mentor right now?
That's a good question. Maybe I need to get a mentor, to be fair. Maybe.
I'm trying to think.
You know, and for me, it doesn't necessarily have to be a person that I know. Like Gary Vaynerchuk, I don't know if you guys know who Gary V is. He's kind of an inspirational, motivational speaker, and I watch a lot of his videos. And so, you know, or Alan Watts, who's a a deceased philosopher who, had a great speaking voice and talks about some cool stuff, I can consider some of that stuff mentorship. So maybe inspiration. Where are you getting your inspiration from right now?
I mean, that's a good question. I don't know. Really.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I can think of because a mentor to me makes me think of someone who's a little bit older who you'd go to seek advice, and I haven't really got anyone in music who would fill that hole. So I guess the only people who I would get that from is from the other people in the band, really.
Yeah.
That's probably the closest thing I could have to someone who I can at least bounce thoughts off or look to for advice, especially when it comes to musical stuff. So crap mentors, though. I need to get some good ones.
Yeah. Wait, I don't know that that you guys would transition well into the virtual concert type of realm that a lot of these other bands are doing. But if you are thinking or considering, doing a pay-per-view or a virtual concert, that would be pretty exciting to check out. So I'm just looking forward to hearing the entire EP, Post-Human Survival Horror, October the 30th. Jordan Fish, Matt Nicholls, Bring Me the Horizon. Thank you guys so much for taking some time out this morning to talk to me, man. You guys continue writing and putting out great music to the world. We appreciate it.
Thanks,
man. I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. Take care, guys.